What's up, cool cats? Music. You probably have heard of it. That melody that starts in your ears but tickles your toes. You know what's music to my ears? The sound of oohs and ahs flow together in a chorus of approval. I hear that melody every time I'm out and about in my Good JuJu merch. That's right, folks. With Good JuJu merch, you'll hear a symphony of approval every time you go out in one of our stylish tees or hats. So head on over to goodjujubets.net and click on the merch shop. Once you do, you'll be hearing that mellifluous chorus every time you head out to your local bar, casino, or brothel. And remember, wearing Good JuJu is always good JuJu for you.
We can't lose. No, we can't lose.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Gambling gods, fickle bunch. Oh yeah, so easily
We
affected.
have a shooter and a good one coming out for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. He's a rolling point is 9, place 9. 9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
They bet on absolutely anything. Don't make them prove it.
Survivor is the same thing. It's dominated by content where it's not actually the sharp content. It's just people making noise about it.
You're tuned in to Gambling with Good JuJu.
Welcome in, everybody, to Gambling with Good JuJu, where college football is underway, NFL is around the corner, and sports gambling adrenaline is surging through our veins. It's here, a Labor Day weekend full of college football, followed by the kickoff to NFL next week. Refreshing. While we kick things off here, do us a favor and head on over to your favorite podcast platform and give us a like, follow, button-clicking sign of affection that lets them know you appreciate what we're doing. Give us a follow on Twitter, Instagram, and coming soon, a recommitted YouTube page.
Yeah, hold yourself to it.
We can be found at Good JuJu Bets wherever you social media. If you really love us, head on over to goodjujubets.net and visit the merch shop. We would love to shout you out for supporting the brand. Speaking of which, it's shout out time. Juice, what cool cats hopped on the Good JuJu bandwagon and purchased some merch recently?
Well, first up, we got a couple of frequent flyers. These guys probably are owed a back shout out because they're huge fans.
We could probably just give them a shout out every week.
At Big J's Plays and at Old Dan Tomlin, thank you again for the support.
Appreciate you, fellas.
New crew. I don't think this person has any social media, so we'll just say Colin, who is my daughter's softball coach.
Oh, that Colin. Hey, he's a big fan of the show.
Absolutely.
Shout
Big
out
fan of the
Colin.
show.
Love
Thank
you,
you for
bud.
the support. And then also we got at Jigs44. Thank you so much for the support. And at Souser22, Kevin Souser.
Love you guys. Hit us up on the socials. Let's talk more.
Yeah, appreciate you following us and buying our stuff.
All right, Jamblers. This week, we're talking with 2021 Circa Survivor champion and creator of the site SurvivorAtlas.com, Gabe Patgorski. We're going to learn all about how to properly compete in these growing, super fun contest formats. We'll also hear his tale of surviving the field in 2021 and learn more about a new set of tools to help listeners here get an edge over the Circa field this year. But before we get to Gabe, it's time for the heat check.
Heat check!
RJ, why don't you lead us off?
Well, up first, we have in my hot little hand the Gambling with Good JuJu feature in the Chicago Sun-Times. Shout out Rob Mish. Thank you very much again for having dinner with us at Bet Bash and talking with us all weekend. And then giving us this nice, beautiful photo in the paper.
Yes. The article was above and beyond what I expected. And I'll be honest, in my head, I was like, this could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was trying to keep my expectations low to the ground, but this is like blown away, right?
I was like, worst case scenario, he's probably going to put a quote in from me in the article.
Yeah.
To receive an almost full page photo and an entire article with our names in the subheadline is pretty neat, and I'm gonna frame it, Rob.
Absolutely. So we're running around all day Sunday trying to find a newspaper, and nobody in this town sells newspapers anymore, let alone the Chicago Sun-Times. And my wife was like, well, how many do you want? And I'm like, well, I need to see it. Because if it's the size of an obituary, like, I probably need one. But if it's like a whole page, and she started laughing. And then it's like, it is a whole page. It's amazing.
I don't know that anyone, because I kept it low key that we might be in the paper, because I didn't know, like you don't want to be like, yeah, I'm going to be in the paper. And then it's like little blurb.
Yeah, right.
So I didn't mention it really. And then when it came out, it just showed everyone. To me, it was shocking that it was as real as it was. Like when it came out in the online edition, like it was layered for me. Like I saw it in the online and I was like,
yeah,
okay, this is super cool.
Yeah.
But is it really in the paper?
That's a couple of old dudes like, are we in the paper?
I was like, oh, right. I didn't actually care about my name being out there in an article on the internet that anyone could access and is potentially very cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be in the paper.
Validating.
And to be in the paper was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
So thank you, Rob. We really appreciate it. We have got all kinds of new listeners out and out in Berwyn now. Listening.
Where's Berwyn?
Yeah, listening down there in Tinley Park.
Oh yeah. Shout out all the suburbs.
Yeah, shout out suburbs of Chicago. And I knew those Southwinds. I knew a guy once named Berwyn Bill. He was
from Berwyn?
Yeah, my buddy Brian's fan. Berwyn Bill.
Berwyn Bill.
Good guy.
All right. We don't have to talk about Circa Quest.
Yeah,
we're going to anymore.
This. We're going to my topic.
Yeah.
I do want to cover this because I was blown away by this. I was listening to, get this, folks. I was listening to VSiN the other day, and it's before week 3 NFL preseason, but it's also week 0 of college football. Now, you may hear week 0 of college football and think that's the same as NFL preseason week number 3. It's not. Week 0 in college football is real games, meaning when I watched my Lobos lose to FCS school Montana State after being up 17-0 on Saturday, it meant a kind of a lot to the pain in my chest. But I'm hearing them debate, Paulie Howard and Mitch Moss, which is more interesting, week 3 NFL preseason or week 0 of college football. And I'm like, is this seriously debatable? An NFL preseason week 3 game that no one of note is even playing in, or real college football games? So I send it to my buddy Juice and I ask him, is this seriously even a debate? And this clown next to me replies, no, not a debate. NFL preseason week 3 is way better. And I'm just like, why do you care about NFL preseason week 3, Juice?
Well, it was fun to watch the Bears smoke the Chiefs. These guys are playing for their spots on the team.
It's not fun to wake up at 11 a.m. on a Saturday to having Florida State, Georgia Tech playing over in Ireland.
I watched the last minute of that. I had previous engagements.
How much college football did you watch that day?
1 minute and 11 seconds. I know that because when I got home and I turned it on, that's how much time was left. And Georgia Tech was kicking the field goal.
I was busy all day long.
Yeah.
Up in Milwaukee, partying, having fun. Shout out Green Day. My voice this week, folks. Sorry. But Green Day took priority. Rocked out 2.5 hours straight.
Yeah.
But
you still watch college football.
Still, yeah. To get back on topic that you're making me do.
Yeah.
Yes. Still watched the entire New Mexico football game in a bar while hanging out with a bunch of people pre-gaming.
Yeah.
And watched in the hotel room, followed by at a bar, Florida State, and all that good. What was it? Florida State, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech upset them.
New Mexico, that's like your 1A team.
Yeah, so I went to New Mexico.
It's a squad.
Got my MBA there, so
yeah,
that's one that I gotta watch.
Yeah, But it's like every team was a double-digit dog.
And then one of them won outright in Ireland in the first game of the college football season.
Raise your hand if you bet on them.
Better than, yeah, me too.
Well, yeah, we did. Delaware State easily covered at 2 a.m.
New Mexico plus 13.5, no sweat. Super mad at the money line plus 410s that lost after they were leading all game. So yeah, right. That's way better. What? Look at how much conversation that we can have around college football week 0. What do you want to talk about NFL preseason week 3?
Bayless Jones Jr. making the squad, baby.
That's not week 3. That happened after week 3.
Yeah, but he made the squad because of that game.
You think he made it because of
they cut 2 quarterbacks to keep him. That was awesome.
All right.
Shout out the Bears.
That's not better than the full college football.
Well, whatever. Football is football is football.
Oh my gosh, yes. Just the fact that we're having this stupid ESPN debate that, like,
yeah,
not our style.
Not our style.
Not our style.
I will say this. I would have preferred to watch the UFL than either of them. Because it's awesome.
You would have rather watched what?
The UFL.
Oh, I thought you said UFC for a second.
Oh my God.
What?
No, but UFL.
UFL. You would rather watch the league that played in the spring?
Yeah.
That was more. Did you watch more of that?
Absolutely.
You watch that every weekend?
Pretty much.
Did you bet on it?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. I didn't know this.
Yeah. UFL's product is fantastic. They did a great job.
Okay. All right. So now we know this isn't even the best time of year for football, apparently, according to RJ right now. The best time was back in the spring.
I'm saying football is football is football, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I don't even care about football anymore. It's just about betting on it, right?
Yes. All right. We got another topic to get to because we got a listener question.
Yeah, we are blowing up.
We are blowing up from Nate S. Nate S. have seen a lot on X today about TD score props seeming a little lower than in past years, a lot lower than in past years. Would be interested to get a dive on this and see what y'all think of it. So before we say anything,
let's get to the experts.
We should note that we reached out to a couple experts and said, what do you guys think about this? So why don't you go first with the individual you spoke with?
Yeah, I reached out to our buddy Grant Old Turd Ferguson, and here's his reply verbatim. It's because it's early, and I assume that DK is the only one that's out there. When there's no competition between the other books at the moment, they can put whatever price they want. Add in that it's far enough out that they can gauge the line more with money coming in for the sharp bettors, and they're going to be extra conservative. Should stabilize and go back to normal as we get closer to kickoff when other books start putting out lines.
So according to Grant, right now it's based on a more limited number of books. Not as many TD prices out now. As more come into market, it'll market correct and prices will be forced, hopefully more in line with what we've seen in previous years.
Well, they have to be competitive or not take action on it. Right now, they are the only price, and they're all one-way markets, so they can basically say whatever they want.
Okay. Because I reached out to Connor Allen, and he said something because Grant's in Colorado, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Connor, similar to us, is in Illinois.
Land of Lincoln.
So one broader factor that we're going to need to take into consideration here to keep an eye on is in states such as Illinois, states that increased gambling tax rates. Initially, DK tried to offset that by taxing every winning bet. Since they got so much pushback, they are trying to hide their hold by making big markets even harder to win at the increased hold. Normally tough to notice, but bettors are on it when they made changes that intense. So now we're factoring in, if you're in a state like Illinois or some of the other ones that they're having the issues with taxes,
right?
That's going to create an even bigger issue in terms of those TD market prices. Because they're one-way markets, it's easier to hide that vigorous.
Well, yeah.
Right?
It's all hidden.
In there. It's all hidden.
It's all hidden. And now they're just taking more.
So I think this is the key point to talk about here.
Sure.
And this is one-way markets. You're at a disadvantage to begin with.
Yes.
You don't know how much vigorish they're taking. And the means to finding out is rather complex.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
So
it's hard to identify plus EV there. Go ahead.
Right. General rule of thumb, if the sportsbook is not willing to offer you both sides of a bet, as in a yes or a no, or an over 0.5 and an under 0.5, they are absolutely price gouging you. And with that, these bets are fun. Home run bets, touchdown scoring bets are fun. They're easy to analyze. They're easy to make. Don't think you're going to get rich making them, but enjoy them for what they are.
They're pizza bets.
They're absolutely pizza bets. You know, every week we're going to get a 25 or 40% boost from every sports book for a football parlay. Do a touchdown parlay because it's way more fun than betting minus 110 lines.
Yep. And who knows if that's even plus EV after the boost.
Who cares?
But who cares?
Right. If they weren't, who cares?
It's going to be fun.
Like, these touchdown parlays are so fun. Make one for each slate of games, and you will be absolutely glued to Red Zone even more.
Do not bet above your limits, people.
Right.
Pizza
Put
bet.
$5 on it.
So shout out to Connor, by the way.
Yeah,
That's a really informed answer. I really appreciate his perspective. You can get all of Connor's stuff. We need to give just a general shout out to Connor Allen.
Yeah.
Because the 4for4 crew is phenomenal. Check out 4for4.com. They've got a ton of information for your fantasy game, for player prop information. They got you covered all across needs, across different sports.
A lot of fantasy stuff.
A lot of fantasy stuff. And you can get Connor Allen specifically for the NFL piece of information at Connor Allen NFL. Check him out as well. He's always dropping awesome information. I've been utilizing a lot of my prep for my fantasy football leagues from him.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Yeah, I hope you're not.
Absolutely.
Because I compete against you in both my fantasy. All
if you
three.
think I'm doing any prep, I opened a bid today on a guy on IR.
Yeah, we don't even need to talk about that league. I'm threatening to burn the whole thing down right now. So,
yeah, shout out Connor. Shout out Grant, scoresandodds.com, Action Network HQ. Plus, he puts out, speaking of these one-way markets, he puts out awesome, sharp content about home runs and touchdowns every day. So, shout out Grant.
yes, Turd Ferguson's content is fun.
Turd bombs.
Turd bombs, baby. Love them.
Love them.
All right. Nate, we hope that answers your question. Stay in touch. Love to hear more from you. Folks, if you have any questions, head on over to goodjujubets.net. What's the tab there that I submit an idea?
Submit an idea. If you got an idea for a show, a question, anything you want us to talk about, hit us up. goodjujubets.net.
Awesome. All right. Anything else before we get into this week's episode?
Let's get into Survivor.
All right. This week we're surviving Survivor with Good JuJu. Let's give some background information for the audience, folks, so that they're not blind going into this conversation with our new friend, Gabe Patgorski. What is Survivor? Players pick one team per week to win straight up, and if they win, they advance. The last player standing wins. You may only use a team one time during the season, so if you took the Chiefs week 1, you can't use them again. I believe the up-to-date hip team would have been if you plan to use Cincinnati again. You can't use them again.
Look at us getting sharp.
Nah, I'm already sharp. There are many different types of Survivor contests with different rules. For the purposes of today's conversation, we're focusing in on the largest and best Circa Survivor, which has a unique set of rules that we should probably get into. Circa's unique set of rules. In addition to picking one team each week, you must also pick a team on Thanksgiving and on Christmas. So that's 2 picks in 1 week slate each of those weeks.
And what's so interesting about that is there's a limited amount of games, 3, and maybe 4 on Christmas because they count some other days.
Right.
But that means, let's say, for instance, on Thanksgiving, there's literally only 3 favorites.
And then it's also still bye week season, right? Does anyone not play that week?
Oh, interesting. I don't know.
I don't know. But then that's the Sunday slate of games. You still have to pick a team and all those Thursday teams are gone. So you're dealing with a shorter slate. And I think it's a bye week too for some teams.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe they make them all play on Thanksgiving. That'd be funny, actually.
But anyway, limited options.
Yes.
Yes.
Very limited options. Multiple different points in the season. It becomes very difficult to win. Now, I won't rehash for Ryan's sake last year's outcome. I'm going to have to redo that because we do totally rehash it.
Again. So hold on. You're not watching this circus show. Absolutely everybody on the show, which I get it. Everybody had Jacksonville. Bill Krakenberger had all 10 entries on Jacksonville in week 3. I feel so justified.
I think what you're saying is Breezy's sharper than Bill Krakenberg.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did I say that?
He also just say, you know what? It's 10,000. If I lose, so what? I'll make it again next week.
That's true.
That's true.
It's true. And as we learned from Steve Fezzik, as soon as he gets out, he can just go buy a piece of someone else's.
Bingo. Yeah.
That's how you're never.
You're never out of it. Yeah.
You have to have enough money to buy 10 entries yourself.
Yes.
And then buy into anyone else at a much higher stake if your entries fizzle.
Yeah. There you go. It's like secret to Survivor.
This trading is going to be good. Because
Okay.
if you drop out, you pick up a piece of someone else. That could be fun.
That could be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Little foreshadowing to our conversation with Gabe.
Little bit of foreshadowing there. Yeah, not going to rehash for Ryan's sake last year's outcome, but suffice to say we did not win. We lost in week 3. Thank you, Trevor Lawrence. You could have up to 10 entries, but as we've learned, that's not true because you could just have 20 people buy 10 entries and then all aggregate them together.
Yeah, somebody's really going to crack the code on this.
Yeah, so to say they have 10 entries, you can only individually have 10 entries, but people have much more than that, as we will learn.
But the entries are not cheap. They're $1,000 a piece.
In our interview with Gabe.
Yes.
We are not balling on that level. We have one entry.
One entry is more than
we got a little piece of the D-Gen boost. Shout out the D-Gen boost. I don't know if I'm supposed to announce that. We just got a little taste. Little taste. So before we get to this conversation with Gabe, is there anything else as far as background on Survivor you think we need to know?
I think you totally nailed it.
Okay. I think the last thing to note here, last year we did not utilize any tools, any resources. We just kind of flew it.
Grip it and rip it.
Gripped it and ripped it. This year we're fixing that and bringing on an expert to give us the lowdown on all things Survivor. So up next, Gabe, the creator of Survivor Atlas and our go-to resource this Survivor season. So let's start things here, Gabe. You are or are not watching Circa Survivor Quest for 9.2 million.
Oh, for sure. The docuseries they're putting out?
Yeah. What do you think of that?
I love it. One of my favorite things about Survivor is how it's for everyone. Anyone can play. Anyone can have an opinion. Anyone can think that they know stuff and want to prove it to try to win a big fat prize. So it gets me buzzing thinking about them connecting these stories. And I think they're just getting started. Like Survivor is growing and growing. They're going to probably be doing more of this stuff. So as just a general Survivor enthusiast, I'm stoked.
Yep. And just for the audience's reference, let me make sure I get this right. Circa Survivor Quest for 9.2 million is a documentary based on last year's Survivor contest.
Correct. Yeah, they're going through like the whole season.
There are 3 episodes in.
I think number 3 was tonight.
Number 3? How many episodes is it?
I think it's going to be 4 or 5 total.
4 or 5 total. So if we can get that across all of VSiN's social channels?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Awesome. All right. So
yeah, I gotta say it's kind of weird though, like having gone through the season last year and we know everything that happens. So I wish it could have came out a little faster. Or obviously it's hard and they did a big production, but there's kind of a spoiler alert type of thing going on if you were a football fan last year. But anyway, it's awesome.
It's obviously a big commercial for this year's contest.
Right.
Which they're trying to get signups now.
So anyone who followed gambling Twitter last year, Circa Survivor, knows some of the spoilers of the fun aspects of this show.
Yeah.
For those in the audience who don't, I won't spoil it for you, but I had a front row seat, as did you, as did probably you, Gabe, as being an active participant in gambling Twitter, and the fallout from it. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. It's already going 3 episodes in. If you guys enjoy the content that comes out of this interview, that would be a great follow-up to go check out. So, all right. other point of note that we want to let the audience in on, Gabe, you yourself are the 2021 Circa Survivor champion, correct?
Yes, there were 5 winners that year. There was 5 entries that made it through, but to brag, there were 2 people who earned the bonus, I think, or was maybe 3, but I was one of those. So I was the top tier of the winners that year, just to get the last brag in there.
Okay, before we move on, because I don't know if we'll get to it in another part of the interview, the bonus that you refer to is what?
Oh, so that was the last year Circa did this, where if you saved one of the Super Bowl teams from the year before, which was Kansas City and Tampa Bay, if you saved them to the last week, you got your share of $1 million bonus.
Wow.
So the first year there was like 33 different winners, and then the second year they said, okay, we can't have 33 winners. We got to add some tricks, and that's when they added the Christmas thing, and they also added these little funny. I forget if they added that first year or not, but the idea was it would make it harder for everyone to survive. They wanted to maybe have only one winner. So yeah, Tom Brady got it done last week all year. Wanted to use him every week that year until the end, and what a feeling.
So, can you take us a little bit through that experience that year? Early on, how many entries did you have that year? Let's start there.
So my sister and my brother-in-law were into it too. So we all had a few entries. I think between us, the limit was 6. We either had 16 total or 18 total, 15. Hey, it's on Survivor Atlas. If I could remember our names back then, I could look it up. But the winning entry was in my brother-in-law's name. But he had his role to play, of course, in doing it. But we got knocked down pretty quickly. I think we were down to 1 entry in maybe week 8. Everyone thinks, oh, you have a lot of entries, you're just going to survive the whole season. But no, like it's hard to survive with any entry. So we're down to 1 entry around week 8 or 9, and then we just went on a run that started with surviving Thanksgiving, and the big highlight, of course, or for me, was the Christmas week because we picked an underdog that week.
Oh wow!
And basically, no one's ever picked an underdog with that much equity on the line, not even close. And I actually had a favorite available to me, but the way we had worked out the math, it seemed way better to take the underdog because we had a chance of scooping all the money on Christmas Day.
Oh.
And it came down to it. It was the big game that the swing was Green Bay versus Cleveland. Baker Mayfield's handing it to Nick Chubb every play for 10 yards. If they just keep going all the way down with Nick Chubb and kick a field goal, Green Bay would have been knocked out, and I would have scooped the entire prize pool in 2021 on Christmas Day.
Who'd you have that week?
We had Tennessee, which hosted the 49ers, and that was like maybe the Thursday night before.
Oh, wow.
And what was extra exciting for us was, in the Circa Survivor, when the Thursday games come out, you don't know how many people picked the Thursday game until they announce on Saturday night who picked everybody. So we had won our game on the Thursday, and we didn't know how many people, if anyone joined us, or we didn't know, if we were on an island. Yeah. I was like trying to get on an island because you can scoop everything. And sure enough, the picks came out I think the morning of the other 2 games, and we already won the game, and opening the tweet that said like only one person was on Titans. It was like goosebumps. All of a sudden we had a chance to win all the money that day.
Oh, wow. There's
really nothing like, it's hard to ever match that feeling again ever in my life in gambling. I don't know if I'm so definitely appreciated it at the time. Just the fact, getting to a kind of relish in something like that was amazing. And then the rest of the year was just kind of riding it out. There were some close calls, but that the Christmas was the drama. The Christmas was the one where I had to really muster up some serious courage to do something that probably everyone thought was dumb. It wasn't. No one really talks about doing something that crazy, but now I'm sure, 100% sure it was the right thing. Looking back at the time, I was only like maybe 80-90%.
Okay.
Were you doing the kind of work that year that you're putting out with the Survivor Atlas tool this year?
Yes. Yeah, so I've been playing Survivor since maybe 2014, 2015.
Oh, wow.
And I've always been, I used to be a pro poker player, and I always have been the type when I see the money in something, like when I see people playing something for money, I'm drawn to it and I want to like figure out what's going on there.
I gotcha.
So I've been making Survivor stuff since back then, but it was always just for myself. It was always my own scripts and sheets and whatever. And after winning the whole thing, it just felt like it would be cool to see if I can create more value for everyone else than just myself once a year, because it's hard to win a lot of Circa, right? So that it makes sense that maybe if there's anyone who can just share the value of what the future of Survivor and what the future of sharp people are going to be doing, why not me? So that's why I'm here today.
All right, Christmas. Take me back to that week real quick one more time. Did you hedge? Did you bet on the 49ers?
Maybe small. It wasn't a big concern then. We still had, after that week, there was still 3 weeks left. And hey, shout out to my brother-in-law. He bet more on the Titans because we were on such a roll. He said, they're going to win. I don't care. So shout out to him.
Wow.
I think
there's a gambler.
Yeah, no kidding. Jeez.
Yeah. Always like that story. So that week with 16 left, the average entry was worth something like $375,000. Out of 16 people, about $375 each. And my share was like, at this point, I had maybe 60% of it.
Yeah.
And so my share, I'm only around $200,000, and I think personally, I might have just thrown some money on an account, like just $1,000 or something. I didn't do like systematic bigger and bigger hedging. I know there was an opportunity on that day. Once the Titans win, and I see the other two games, I could have done a bunch of hedging magic and locked up a few $100,000 in equity, but it would have been expensive if everyone survived.
Yeah.
And it would have taken out of the cut of everyone's trying to win the $6 million. So we didn't go heavy on that. We didn't try to make a deal. The people involved all had the guts to let it ride for the most part.
So you never sold off any portion of your entry? Well,
near the beginning of the year, I did some trading.
Okay.
I think it's just fun to trade with friends, and my family had pieces, and I think trading in Survivor is just it's already so much fun, and it's the worst thing when you get knocked out and you're just dead. So I love doing stuff like that. Every year I have a bunch of people I trade. If you 2% with you, 2% with you, stuff like that.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic, for the audience, can you explain trading for us?
Oh, sure. Like if let's say I have 10 entries and you have 1 entry, and I'll give you 1% of mine for 10% of you. Since at the beginning of the year, that's like par value. That's a pretty even trade, assuming you guys wouldn't just light the entry on fire, and neither would I. But it gets more complicated, of course, in the season when people have different entries, and maybe one person wants to trade at even value, the other person thinks theirs is worth more.
Right.
A lot of complicated stuff, and when the money gets big, I know people ask for calling lawyers and whatnot to work that out, but I think it's way cooler to find people and connect with people who play Survivor, so you can make deals with them, and everyone's happy. So we'll see if we get any of that going this year.
So you're like hunting down, or not hunting down, but you're reaching out and communicating with the other Survivor contestants who are remaining throughout the process as you get closer to the end?
Oh, yes. I think that's important for any of the players when the money starts getting big. I am happy to help people with that when we get there. We're building a community where we have a bunch of sharp people trying to help everyone else realize their dreams of making a big score. So I hope we're dealing with that in a couple months with you guys or other people. Who knows, right?
It'll be us. It will be us, Gabe. We have 1 entry. We're fine. We have a
shout out DD Gen Boost.
Yeah,
we're little trade partners with him already. So yeah.
Okay.
We're tied a little bit to him.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Let me ask this. So you talk all about Survivor. I know you all about Survivor. Do you bet on sports in general as well, or are you strictly a Survivor type of guy?
I do a little tiny bit for fun. I went through periods where I had an edge in some sports, and we were betting stuff around the world, pressing our outs, doing all that stuff, Spanky has to deal with.
Yeah.
So I've been there, and now to be honest, it's kind of weird how I think about it because like I've played massive poker stakes. I've had massive sweats in these NFL games on the Survivor with hundreds of thousands, and it's all kind of broken my brain. And I don't get the buzz of betting on random stuff like I used to because of this.
So you're not up for the day-to-day grind of sports gambling anymore?
No, that like there's something. It can be fun and entertaining, and I love throwing some bets on the Olympics. You know, shout out Circa putting some lines up that may be entertaining for an hour, right?
Yeah.
But the grind, I think obviously people can make a living or can do it on the side for like extra dough, but doing it full time and trying to scale it is a grind, and all the hard points of it aren't the stuff I find interesting. Like finding new people with accounts and trying to get around the limits. That stuff's I don't want to spend my time thinking about that stuff. And Survivor is like a new cool thing. This concept is growing, and I also know that so much of the discourse about it is wrong or outdated or stale. And so I'm just diving in. Hey, we'll see what happens. I'm just diving in.
You still play poker?
Just for fun, really. I did not play any World Series this year, and it's kind of like I was working too much on Atlas. I got you. I want to go back to poker where I can just be a fun player. I want to play 3-2 offsuit under the gun. I want to get in there and try to mess with people and stuff. But the discipline for sitting at a poker table for 10 hours and grinding it out, I don't have that anymore. Yeah. Maybe social media cracked me out or something.
Are we sure we want to win Survivor?
I'm pretty sure.
It sounds like his drive for adrenaline has been lost in all other forms.
I'm pretty sure you don't want me to win Survivor without you.
Oh no! Hey, it's worth it. It's worth it. There's nothing like a crazy run. Even obviously, it's better when you win, but even when you go deep and lose, it's like a lifetime experience, and it's crazy how much adrenaline you can get from just picking a football game. But Survivor is no doubt to me not only the most fun, but also just so much more exciting than anything sports betting can offer.
Yeah.
Are you guys playing the millions too, or just doing the Survivor?
I'm doing both.
And I bought a piece of his.
Yeah, with a little trade partner on that.
I'm a little silent partner. I promise.
Nice. Hey, that millions, it looks like there's going to be overlay in it.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking, do I got to drive down there just to sign up because it's probably juicy, but I don't know if it's for me. Like I said, it doesn't get my blood pumping like Survivor.
It's a lot more picks. All right.
Wait, have you done millions?
Yeah, I did the first 2 years. I did both contests, if I remember correct.
Okay. So it doesn't get it going as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's for people who like grinding out the lines. I don't know. It's just Survivor every week people are like losing their minds no matter what the games are, and I feel like that doesn't happen in the millions except for a few people at the end of every month. And
right. I was kind of drawn to the multiple prizes. There's like 128 prizes or something like that. So
yeah, right. And then the loser prize. If you start doing bad, everyone can U-turn into the loserville.
All right. You talked about the adrenaline and the excitement. Did you sweat any of the games at Circa?
No, I didn't do that at all. I think I don't think that's really for me for the big money. I feel like I need to be like in my own thing. I don't even like having people join me for the sweats. Like, I mean, my close people, yeah, it's all good. But like when it started getting big and people are like, oh, I want to come over for the game. It's like, I don't want you to see me like this. This is going to be a little.
I think I'm with him on this one. Listen, if I've got this much money on the line, I think I'm going to be in a closet with like a blanket over my head and just like a little mini television, on my phone, just kind of cowering in the corner praying.
Yeah, that's me. Because you invite people over, all this, you get eliminated, and someone's like, "Well, of course you shouldn't have picked that team." You got to hear all that stuff, and I don't have those conversations anymore with people. It's a different experience when I'm watching a game than when I was a young person.
Look, when Illinois got knocked out as a number 1 seed a couple years ago to Loyola, and I watched the game in the garage with a couple of individuals who were kind of trolling me.
Oh, that wasn't me.
My nephew.
Oh, Jesus.
trolling me. And when the game ended,
Get him out.
I had to like go to my room and like be left alone for like 45 minutes like a child.
Right.
If I have $11 million on the line,
Right on top of that.
I can't see other people.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this. So, all right.
I hope I get to find out.
Yeah, right. Let's get into successfully competing in Survivor. Now, you said something particularly interesting in your seminar, and I'm going to try not to butcher this. Most people play Survivor to try and last as long as possible, when the goal should be to maximize your EV. Folks, remember expected value. Can you expand on that for the audience?
Yes. That hey, that's a good line to write down. You did your notes good that day, because that one means a lot. So, if everyone just tried to pick the team with the highest win percentage, then no one's really separated themselves from the field. The people playing Circa there's some people who don't turn their picks in, but people in general aren't like morons, right? Everyone's like kind of gets what's going on, and most people approach the game that way. And I think, and I don't know if I'm great at explaining it yet. I'm getting better at it, but I know that these people can be exploited. We're playing a game for money, and the decision they're making is to like maximize their entertainment. But they might not even realize that. But the people doing this, you can find ways to exploit them. And in games for money, that's like the whole point from a sharp perspective. Obviously, not everyone has to do that. It's cool having fun, making fun picks based off whatever. But that stuff is not going to get you ahead in Survivor except maybe randomly. So the easiest way to get that kind of line you said across is like if week one, if we know every single person is picking the biggest favorite, if everyone's going to pick Cincinnati minus 10 points or whatever, let's say everyone in the contest does that, it's real easy to show that the EV, to maximize your value, to maximize what your $1,000 is worth, you should put it on their opponent, who's obviously a huge underdog. And if you did that and the selections came out and it said 10,000 people on Bengals, 1 on Patriots, then your entry is automatically worth like, what is it? You're going to win 10 million 20% of the time. So your 1,000 is worth $2 million automatically. And that's how you exploit it. I mean, obviously this is an extreme example, but it's how you exploit what everyone's doing. And so if you kind of slowly like walk that example towards what actually is happening, there's all these different teams, there's different win percentages, and it's kind of complicated to do math on all the team and who wins the most, and okay, what is the most that team can be selected to not be too overly chalky. It gets kind of complicated, but there is some line somewhere where we can point to and go, okay, if 99% of the people are picking the Bengals, that's definitely too much. Okay, 98% is too much. And you can get closer to the real answer. And then you kind of do that for all teams, and you realize that there's kind of a range of what everyone should do every week. There's no one answer on what team you should pick. There's kind of the correct mathematical answers. There's kind of a mix that you pick. But picking that one chalky team is a mistake money-wise, and you can quantify it. And it's not 100% definitive thing, because there's also the long-term implications of you wasting this pick. Are you burning Cincinnati? Are you saving Cincinnati? So just because you can identify value in the first week, there's still this other future component that there's a whole lot of stuff to figure out there. But approaching the game that you're not trying to maximize survival, you're trying to maximize what your thing is worth. That's the bottom line. Any questions on that?
Do you right now have an estimate on Cincinnati for week one?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, I think about 40% seems right.
So let me ask this. What do you think the fair percent ownership for Cincinnati would need to be for it to be fair value?
My gut right now, keep in mind, it's only August 27th. We're not there yet.
We're not holding you to this.
Yeah.
Right. I think something like maybe lower 30s.
Okay.
Because one thing, they do have a really high win percentage compared to everyone else. That's useful. But if you knew that over half the field was going to be on them, then I wouldn't want to be on them. There's just it's so not only do you have the chance that New England knocks them off in week 1? But later in the year, it just takes using Cincinnati once when other people are restricted on them to gain a lot of value. And I know it's far away, but right now, the week after Thanksgiving, that Sunday, and the Sunday after Christmas, currently Cincinnati is projected to be the biggest favorite those weeks.
Oh wow!
And those are short bottleneck weeks. So like having the best team there is super valuable. It's hard to get there with them.
Yeah.
But week 1, when the long term, if so much long term ahead of us, I'm thinking save Cincinnati.
I think that's the sneakiest part of the whole thing. Everyone wants to talk about Christmas and Thanksgiving, but it's also impacting that short weekend right after. So it's almost like 4 more difficult weeks instead of 2 more difficult weeks.
Hey, right on. And one thing that makes it a little less like intimidating is both of those are moved back this year. I think there's 12 weeks before Thanksgiving. Last year, I think there was only 11. So it's harder to get to that, which means you got to discount it a little more in your week 1 picks. But when you're there and you have the opportunity to, like if you've had courage all year long and then you have the opportunity to slam the best week and no one else has them, that's when you're making a crazy amount of money and you can hedge off. That's easy to hedge off.
Yeah.
And you can lock up money on that. But obviously it takes some courage to show up at the end of the season with all the good teams.
Yep.
Because about week 4, you're going to be thinking, I really want to make week 5. I want to maximize survival. I like talking about this. I like thinking about it. But, what are you going to do? Are you going to go for the value? Or are you going to have fun?
What are we going to do?
Right. I mean, I feel like we should just walk through every week with this guy. He gives a little strategy session.
Well, we're going to get into the tools that are going to talk more about how you find that EV week to week with the Survivor Atlas tools. But there's another angle to your seminar that I wanted to bring up. You and I don't know if you remember this, but you and I talked about the differences between your short-term and your long-term expected value. So we're talking about like, you got to find your EV, but then there's this short-term expected value and this long-term expected value that you need to take into consideration. Can you talk a little bit more about that for the audience?
Yep. So this applies to all Survivor pools, not just Circa. Anyone playing Survivor, I think this is how you should think about it. And that's every decision you can break down into those 2 components. You have your short-term component, which is just the current week, the current set of games, what you think the popularity of all the teams are. That's critical for looking at the short term. How popular everyone is, who the big favorites are. And then the other component is the long term, the future. That's who you're saving to use for later. And I think the future stuff is where people with football knowledge have a advantage, kind of, or that's where they can use their magic, because that is a lot more art than science. The short term stuff, you can quantify it, you can make projections, you can have a few people do projections and quantify it and compare and have a pretty good idea on that stuff. But the long term is like, okay, which weeks got the easiest matchups? But okay, which of those weeks are everyone going to be on those matchups? Okay, how long do I need to save this team for? Is this team going to be better in the future because their injuries are coming back? There's all those sorts of things. That's all future component stuff. So ideally, when you make your Survivor decision, you are making plays that are good for you short term and good for you long term. It's easy to use some narrative or justification why you're really helping your long term, or you definitely got to pick this one team because they're a lock this week. But to be super sharp, you want to take both into account. And even if you lose, obviously it sucks to lose, but losing on a good pick can be sharper than surviving on the chalk. And that's reality, and you got to accept that if you want to try to get an edge in this stuff.
Let me give an example here I've played Survivor college basketball for the NCAA tournament for many years now. And my goal has always been find the team you think that's going to win with the easiest path that week and is going to lose in the next round. Is that essentially what you're looking for there?
Yeah.
Talk about the short term versus you're looking for how do I maximize this short term with as little damage to my overall power rankings that I'm essentially creating for the long term?
Yes, but for what I think would be the proper analysis of that, what you just put out there, you have to factor in what everyone else is doing. Because if what you just described is what everyone in your group chat's going to do, then don't do it. Because if so much of the field is clumped on one thing, it's usually really bad for your value. So the short term, I just wanted to kind of like hammer that in. The short term stuff is you have to be thinking about what everyone else is doing, because it's this week, it's happening, people are talking about it, and it really matters if the play you want to do is also going to be chosen by 50% of the people or whatever, because then you're in trouble. You don't want to be, and like, losing on one of those teams is the worst, because like you didn't even have a chance to really get ahead of the field, because if half of the competition is with you, they can't all get knocked out. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly how we got knocked out last year, Gabe.
We're not rehashing that again.
Hey, which week was it?
Week 3. Everybody lost in week 3.
I lost some on both those teams. Yeah, that was Baltimore, Jacksonville.
Yep.
We bet on Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that was a rough day.
I wanted to bet on the Seahawks, Gabe.
Great.
Oh, they won that week, I'm pretty sure.
I swear to God,
I can confirm.
You better make it farther than week 3, pal. That's all I'm saying. I swear to God.
No, we are learning now. It doesn't matter when you go out in the process, as long as you're maximizing your EV on each pick. Correct, Gabe?
Great.
Hey, right on. And also, thinking if you guys do want to talk this stuff out with me every week, we're going to do a Twitter Spaces every Thursday.
Oh, neat.
Like maybe an hour before the Thursday night games, because that's Survivor, maybe playing that game or who's on it. So please come by sometime. I got some cool people lined up for it, and we're just going to be talking Survivor for an hour. So
very cool. With the Survivor Atlas account?
Survivor Atlas will be hosting the Spaces. Right.
Fantastic.
Let's get into some of the tools then, since while we're on the topic of Survivor Atlas, you're the expert here. Let's start off broad. Can you explain the tools for the audience a little bit here?
Okay, so one thing I keep talking about is knowing what everyone else is on, knowing what they're doing. This is so important at all times. And the original Survivor Atlas idea was because during that Christmas run, from 2021, I was able to figure out who everyone else was going to play, because I went through all the PDFs that Circa puts out with everyone's picks. And I was like doing data, figuring out, okay, this person has this left. And I think it was a huge advantage for me. And no one else, I don't know if anyone else was doing this. And everyone should have been if they're trying to maximize value. But I suspect they were all just trying to survive to the end. So anyway, this was like I thought this thing would be valuable to everyone. It saves everyone time. It can make everyone smarter. So that's kind of the original concept of how we made Survivor Atlas, what kind of problem it solves. So one of the big things is, who is everyone else going to be on? In the beginning of the season, when there's thousands of people, you don't really need to look at people in the entry level of, okay, these 10,000 people, what do they each do? You can look at just the groups, like 20% use Baltimore, 30% is probably going to use San Fran. But then as you go through the season and the field gets narrowed down, and you start thinking, oh shoot, like there's 45 people left. I think 36 are all going to take this one team, because I'm looking up their entries on Survivor Atlas. There's an edge there, and the old way to do it was just a huge pain in the ass. So without going into the specific tool, that's kind of something that we're always trying to help people understand. And the simplest thing of Atlas, that's for everyone. Not everyone cares about the EV stuff, I have to say, right? Or putting that on the website, but just the lobby and the leaderboard of Survivor Atlas, where we show everyone ranked in terms of how many bullets they got live, what all those entries have been taking, and then some different little data stuff to make it interesting to sweat that stuff. So it's not just tools and analytics. It's also a cool way to just enjoy and experience the contest.
Also, before we move forward for the audience, this tool is free. Like, shout out Gabe. Thank you.
Hey.
I thought this would be something. I was waiting the whole seminar. I was like, all right, this is super cool. I'm super excited. What's the cost going to be?
Hey, thank you so much for saying that. No, hey, our number one thing this year is Survivor is awesome. We want to build community around this, which is one reason why I appreciated you guys hitting me up about doing this so much. is I want to meet with cool people who are playing Survivor. It's fun to talk about. When you got a Survivor sweat and the numbers start ticking up, it's the most fun thing in the world to think about what team you're going to survive with. So number one is community for us. And I think putting the coolest tools that are the most helpful is our way to bootstrap a community based around Survivor.
Yeah.
And I'm counting you guys as members of my community.
I already have my login, so
okay, right
you
on.
can't kick me out. Sorry.
You said it'd be free.
Yeah, I was like, he might change this to a price thing. Gotta get in. All right, let's talk about some of the specifics from the tool.
Okay.
First of all, the roadmap. That's a really cool item on your site that lets an individual map out basically their whole course for the year and what the implications are. Correct?
Yes. So, or just the map. So the map is my favorite thing on the Atlas. The map, I have stared at my own version of the map for years. Every season, just hours every week thinking about, okay, how do I get from where I'm at now to the end of the season? So I guess to describe it for people, there's a table, and every row is a team, and every column is one of the rounds, one of the weeks. And since you can only use each team once, and you can only use one team per round, it kind of naturally presents a grid that you can kind of map your way from the left side, beginning of the season, to the right side.
Right.
So it's simple at first, but then we can start adding all sorts of stuff to it, like the spreads of each game. Maybe some stuff, international games, divisional matchups, or how much of the field has this game available, or what do we think this game? How popular do we think it is? We're still experimenting, finding what is best, find what people like best, but we have a lot of features in there, and I built it for me because I know what I like staring at. And then I got some help from a great designer, and now it's like it just feels great to be in it, to experience the website. And I'm so excited for us to keep developing it and sharing it with people. One caveat is it's made for Circa Survivor. It has the extra columns for Thanksgiving week and the Christmas week. And we're trying to get some tools built just for the regular type Survivor contest, so people can use all the stuff for that. But it's only been the last kind of week or two where I realized I should have done this, and I don't know if I can get it out in time for the season. We're working on so much stuff, and plus we got to make our picks and try to win this thing. So no promises on when we get the map out for other stuff. But yeah, I love using the map. Thanks for asking about that. That's the coolest thing, I think. Not everyone agrees.
Personally, how much do you deviate from your roadmap as you go throughout a season? Like, is it changing every week for you?
Yeah, for sure. Because one thing that happens a lot, it'll be like week 4, and you map out of maybe the first half of the season, and then maybe like week 6, you'll always choose the Chargers, and then once you start getting close to week 6, you realize the entire field is using the Chargers here. Let me see how else I can finesse this. Do I use the Chargers? Maybe I'll use the Chargers a week ahead of time, because then no one's using them then, because everyone's saving them for that day. So make a plan, but then when you get close, you got to step off the landmines. You don't want to blow up when the whole field blows up, because then you got no chance of winning the 10 million. You want to maximize your chances of winning this 10 million.
Can you talk a little bit about the estimates for the field? And specifically, so within the Survivor Atlas tool, we'll be able to see your estimates on Survivor entries, or like the percentage shares and things along those lines?
So that's built. I think I like tweeting them more, and I might eventually just put them all on the website. But at the beginning of the season, especially, I like tweeting them. I like people telling me I'm wrong, and thinking, maybe they're right. I got to get a little better at this, and kind of getting in the mode publicly. And I think it's just fun. And the thing that makes me not want to do that is when I think people take my numbers and use them and say they're theirs. So if people don't do that much, then I'll probably just tweet them out all year from Survivor Atlas. There are some things like, the EV calculator. If you knew what everyone's projections were, or if you knew how popular every team was, it makes the EV calculator easier. So projecting the popularity and having it built into that feature, we're definitely doing that. It's a little glitchy right now, but we're hoping it's super clean by first week of the season. We're trying our best.
So let's say it's a Thursday afternoon, and he and I are discussing who are we taking this week, right? We've got it kind of figured out, but we're like looking to hone in on it.
Down to these 2 or 3, right?
Right. Is Survivor Atlas going to be able to tell us at that point information on what the projections are for how popular they're going to be and things like that?
So Thursday, I will definitely be talking about that type of stuff in Spaces every week.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's before the first game. Everyone's thinking about it, and by then I'll have a good start to my idea what the numbers are. But I know for sure I'm always sharper. My numbers are always sharper on Saturday than Thursday. I don't know how many people got to get their pick deadline in a day or two early. What's your deadline, right? What's your deadline?
See, we're in Illinois, so we have to go through a proxy, and our deadline's Friday night, isn't it?
Might be, yeah.
I think our deadline's Friday night.
Okay, well, Thursday, hey, tune in Thursday. I mean, we're talking about this stuff a lot, and one of I think I'm really good at this stuff. I've been staring at predicting Survivor popularities for 10 years almost. I just have a good sense of it, and it's like easy content to put out. So I'm going to be doing it. So for sure, look my way.
That's going to be our go-to. For sure.
Yeah.
Because that's what that might have been one of my number one questions to solve for is how am I going to get an accurate understanding of what's going to happen here to the best I can?
Yeah.
Ownership percentages.
So right. And I'll be sharing other people who are doing it. But one thing, having those percentages, if there's 2 teams that are close for you, I wouldn't let that stuff sway you a lot, right? Like maybe there's some margin of error. But when it's close, use your long-term like skill set to think about, okay, who do you want to save? Who do you want to use? The short-term stuff and all those projections are more about finding the spot to avoid and then, maybe noticing the real sneaky spots at the bottom. So don't let that type of stuff, that just like the 4th down bot in the NFL, you can't only follow the 4th down bot. Sometimes the coach has got to say, oh, my guys are too tired. I can't do this or something like that. You got to make your own call at the end, but use that stuff to help you get in the right area.
Are there any other tips outside of the roadmap that you think are particularly useful for folks?
Well, I think staring at the projection stuff, or not the projection stuff, the pie charts of what have been picked compared to the availability, and I think everyone should develop their sense for that stuff. This team's probably going to be really popular. They're the biggest favorite. Everyone has them available. Okay, what's my guess on that? Everyone who plays Survivor should be thinking of that stuff because that's the skills. You want to get that skill up. So for years to come, you just look at the spreads and go, I bet this team's a chalk. Let me slide by on something else. And like my projections, I hope to become, more accurate over time. And I'm not sure I'm always going to give them away for free. So it's good. Everyone, you want to be sharp. We're going to play Survivor the rest of our lives. So stare at the stuff and just feel out what's actually happening in the contest. There's a few other things, instruments. There's one about how many no picks happen every year because that's funny to see people. how often people did put a pick in. So one is like players by entry count in Circa. It's interesting to see how many people entered with 10 entries and how many had 10 after week 1. There's just a lot of little things like that. I don't know what the coolest stuff is. I know we're just going to keep adding more. And when people give us ideas for stuff, we love building stuff to make, that makes people happy. So you guys, anyone who thinks of stuff, send it our way. We absolutely love feedback. That's what makes everything awesome.
Dude, I can't wait.
That's fantastic.
The site is absolutely stunning, bud. Nice work.
Seriously. Hey, thanks so much. Man, we got to make a run, you guys. Maybe we should maximize survival. This is kind of fun to talk about.
I want to see someone from Bet Bash who used Survivor Atlas win this tournament.
Absolutely.
Or I keep calling it a tournament.
It's kind of a tournament, right?
Yeah, the contest.
It's fine.
I think it's pretty likely. I think at the end of the year, is everyone really going to just look through all the PDFs to figure everything out? One thing I had in mind wanted to say about this game in general is like 20 years ago in poker, the World Series of Poker main event, it was full of people who would be absolutely terrible nowadays. And all the advice around the game back then, basically all the advice back then, like doesn't hold up anymore. The sharpest people now don't care about that stuff. It's so clearly that there's a new, sharper way of thinking about poker than whatever people were talking about when poker was first exploding 20 years ago. Survivor is the same thing. It's dominated by content where it's not actually the sharp content. It's just people making noise about it. So as you guys keep an eye on this and hold me to account over the decade, because I think by the end of the decade, everyone's going to be obviously more sharp at this stuff. Everything's going to be more advanced. The people in VSiN are going to be talking more about popularity percentages and EV compared to Burrow's injury. That type of the handicapping stuff. The market is so good. You don't need to spend your whole time handicapping. Trust the market when it's saying something, and spend your time thinking about the future value and all that type of stuff. That stuff's interesting to think about. You don't need to battle the books, except that this is like having Benson on your side when you just look at the odds and go, oh, Jeff Benson at Circa says they're 10-point favorites. I bet that's pretty close to being the truth.
Dude, I think that's the key takeaway out of this whole thing is don't even try to handicap the games. Why bother? Jeffrey Benson's doing it for us.
We've been saying this for years.
Yeah.
Right on. And if this, I'm here to pitch Survivor. That's the way to pitch Survivor, or that's the way to come at Survivor. It's not about the handicap. That's for the other. That's for the rest of the year, the rest of the week.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait to strap in for another year of this.
I'm excited. We're going to have a good run. We're going to have a lot of fun. It's fun to feel like we're a part of a community this year. Like what you're talking about. It's fun.
Right on. We're all in this together and praying we make it through week 1 at least. If you just get through week 1, I think week 2 counts as you're getting your money's worth. But week 1, that might ruin all of football season. And it's possible for anyone, right? Anyone can get knocked out week 1.
Well, that's why I've hedged with my millions entry. Can't lose in week 1 in that.
Right.
All right, Gabe, thank you for all the advice. I'm going to give one final tip for everyone here before we let you go. Go follow Survivor Atlas on Twitter right now. Go check out his website. Is it survivoratlas.com?
Right on. Survivoratlas.com on Twitter. We have a Discord. We're doing some spaces every Thursday. We're doing community stuff, and we're posting as much smart stuff as we can put out there. We're trying to speed up this whole sharpening that's going to happen that I was just talking about. So follow us if you want to be good. Right on.
Right on.
Thank you so much, Gabe. We are excited for Survivor. We're excited to play along with you, and we look forward to talking more.
Hey, right on. Appreciate you guys. This was fun.
All right. Thanks again to Gabe with Survivor Atlas for joining us. As mentioned in that interview, you can get all their stuff at Survivor Atlas on Twitter or survivoratlas.com. What'd you think, Juice?
Yeah, very interesting stuff. I love the breakdown for short-term, long-term EV. Like you were kind of trying to walk me through that as a concept a couple of weeks ago or days ago, however long it's been now. I'm invigorated for this contest now. I've never been this excited to play Survivor.
I'm still nervous about us getting our numbers correct to make correct decisions with.
Well, it's all an estimate.
Right. So we'll see.
I think it's safe to say we're going to err on the side of low ownership this year.
Okay.
I got a feeling. I've also said you're driving the ship, so I'm just along for the ride.
Let's win this, baby. I love that you're saying I'm driving this ship, because when we win, it's going to feel so good, you saying that.
I know.
Because you're not going to let me just drive the ship, and I don't want to just drive the ship.
Totally driving the ship.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if in week 10, Juice is like, no, I don't want to say in this. You do it, Pete.
I just want to know how to hedge.
Yeah, week 10. I want nothing to do with this. I'm good with you doing whatever you want. You want to take a 14-point Bears, dog? You want to take the Bears on the road facing, I don't know.
Green Bay? In December? Yeah, I'm in. Let's go to the game.
Let's do it. If you're saying that, then okay, fine.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, I'm excited. I'm still nervous about getting my information and making sure I'm accurate with it. And we need to be playing with it right now, and we're not. So we're already probably behind the 8 ball. We haven't even talked to our third partner yet about it.
Yeah, shout out Jolly St. Fig.
Yeah.
He got banned from Hard Rock in one day.
Shout out Jolly St. Vic getting a Hard Rock bet account in the state of Illinois less than 24 hours ago and already telling us he's locked out of his account and it's been suspended. He said he made 3 bets and he lost 2 of them.
Shout out Jolly Safe.
Congratulations. He was so excited to get that book. And it was just
Boop, boop. I will say, after talking to Gabe, back to Survivor, because I know we're talking about Survivor.
right.
I've never been more nervous than I am right now to lose in week 1. He brought that up multiple times.
I mean, yeah,
I never even considered that.
we're not taking Cincy.
Right. Definitely not.
So that would be super square.
Yeah.
I don't know who we're going to take because I haven't started researching it. And we probably should have been researching it for 3 months like Gabe has. 3 months. All year.
Right. Chicago is a 4.5 point favorite.
I don't want to burn the Bears this early.
Best team in the nation.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Williams, MVP. Have you seen that dime throw to Rome Odunze? Oh, real quick, before we let everyone go, I did get an update from our Bears beat reporter, Colleen King.
Shout out Colleen.
She has noted the difference between last year and this year, and it is notable. And
That quarterback play.
that the quarterback difference.
Yeah, okay. I cannot wait. And I cannot wait in the Fantasy Football League we will not speak about to take Rome Odunze with my second pick tomorrow.
Shout out Colleen Kane. Partied with her all Saturday night.
Yeah.
Ended up, we won over Ryan and got to go. We talked to everyone else into going to Insomnia Cookies.
Oh,
end our
like
night.
middle of the night.
And I bought a $17 cookie ice cream sandwich for myself. It had 2 giant cookies, and between it was 3 scoops of ice cream.
Oh my God.
It doesn't come like, in a sandwich you hold. It comes in a mini pizza box. And they can't close the lid to the mini pizza box. So it just sits open in this mini pizza box.
Dude, that's disgusting.
$17.
You ate it yourself?
I did not finish it.
Okay, thank God.
The ice
Jesus.
cream started melting. We were walking back to the hotel. I was just eating it out of the box as I was walking back to the hotel. Like I had to use a fork.
Did anybody else get anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone got like a cookie or 2.
Insomnia.
And I got a $17 ice cream sandwich.
Fill up that pizza box of sweets.
Nerds gummy clusters.
No, it's
Buy them.
Insomnia cookies. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Insomnia cookie, future sponsor of the show. Shout out Milwaukee.
Yeah, we have them in Peoria now.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, we could go right now and get Insomnia cookie.
Where at? Okay, yeah, great. Let's go.
They close at midnight.
We got plenty of time.
They're on Sterling.
Okay.
All right, folks. Thanks once again to Gabe with Survivor Atlas. Great conversation. Great stuff. We learned a whole lot. Don't forget to check them out. Good juju to your bets, everyone. We'll talk again next week.
Bye.